Well, here we go, Tall Paul. It's the Producers Podcast, and we are rolling.
Here we go.
Quick product placement. You'll notice a new advertiser, Tarzana Cleaners, right there on Reseda Boulevard.
Did you get a pair of pants done for free or something?
Actually, the truth is, I have to take the cleaning to the store, to the dry cleaner, and I've got that bag there, and I realized if anybody's looking for product placement on the Producers Podcast show, please call our ad sales department, our crack ad sales department.
You're looking at them.
Yeah. Well, it's not that they're any good. It's just they're all on crack. So, all right. Anyway, so yeah, I don't have time to move the Tarzana Cleaners bag.
It's fine right where it is.
Okay,
it blends in with the other stuff hanging on your.
Right. It's a bunch of junk. It's like, it looks like a teenager's room here.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, I got to work on cleaning this damn thing up, but I apologize. All right.
No worries.
Well, we got a lot to talk about today, Paul. We're going to talk about stand-up comedians. We're going to talk about elder discrimination, which should either chase them all off or not.
Yeah.
Opening the show, Tall Paul Joseph, Jack Silver, the Producers Podcast. You had a great point about tipping at restaurants.
That was fueled off Ocho Cinco,
Yeah.
who, now retired football star, who
Chad
has the habit of leaving
Johnson.
like $4.98 will be his bill, and he leaves $1,498. So it's like, or $4.98. So he leaves this $1,000 tip most places he goes. And so it brought up the subject of, what's the worst tip you've ever left? What is the best tip you've ever left, and why?
Okay. Well, that's a great question. First of all, I've never left $1,000 tip.
Have you ever left a tip?
I'm a little tight.
Yes.
With the finances.
Yeah.
But no, let's put it this way. I think, and then I definitely want to hear your point of view, because I know you've got some hard, fast rules on the tipping, but here's what I would say. If tipping is to ensure prompt service, which is what the original, did you know that? What tips stand for?
No, but see, that's frightening that you would know that, because that's your guideline for tipping. See,
right.
That little 5-banger you just did.
Well,
to
do ensure proper service. It's a 4-banger.
A 4, okay.
Right,
well,
so
that is frightening that you would know that.
Okay, well, I do know that. So here's my point.
Service people all across America are shivering right now.
Well, tell them to get their butts in gear, because grab the vittles from the kitchen and bring them out.
Yeah, right.
No, if you're in a good restaurant, you get good service, it should be about an 18 to 20% tip.
Yeah.
So on $100 bill, if you're having a nice dinner with you and the missus, then you throw a $20 bill on there. And the only other thing I do like to do is it's better to give cash, because then they don't have to share it with everybody else, and they don't get charged for taxed on it.
That's right.
Now, how say you?
Well, yeah, no, I agree. You and I dine out quite a bit together pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you are actually a good tipper. You're a good tipper, and I am too. And I believe that you over tip for really great service. That's the one thing I believe in. And especially, like, we have places we go, I know you do, we do, where they know us, and then that compels you to leave even more, because they're all over you. They bring you, free desserts with spoons and all this stuff. And so you end up leaving even more than you normally would,
Yeah.
Turns out to a lot.
Well, I'll tell you this, though. Now, on the other hand, have you ever had really crummy service and wanted to send a message to the person?
You know what? I shouldn't say this, but I've always tipped even the bad service. I've left. What I do, here's the secret. I leave a note on the check, because the managers are the ones that look at those checks. And I say, either this service is fantastic or this service was not so hot. Yeah. But either way, I leave a tip, and I say it really needs to be improved, or I say off the top, the charts, I'm going to be back a million times. This is great service.
Well, and the truth of the matter is, you're not supposed to. Hey, look, they're working hard. They only get like $2 or $3 an hour. Most of the waiters and waitresses work on tips, right?
Yeah.
Right. So the point is, you really have to tip them anyway, regardless of what you think. But I've had some bad service over time, and I will go down to 15%, or every once in a while. I know you might find this hard to believe, but Jack Silver might all of a sudden just come out and say, "Broseph, you did a shitty job."
Really?
Well, I won't use the S-bomb, which I shouldn't have just used here. But anyway, no, I'll say, this was a special occasion.
Yeah.
You really didn't knock it out of the park, or And,
Oh,
or maybe a better way to do it is to get to the manager if you know him and say, look, Bill on table 4,
yeah.
not up to snuff. Maybe you can give him a little kick in the butt and help him to do better,
Needs him
because
up.
the
Yeah.
better they do, the more they will get tipped.
That's what I don't understand. If it's me and I'm the server, guess what? I'm refilling your Coke for free. I'm doing all kinds of things because
Oh, yeah.
you're going to go, this guy takes care of me,
And then,
and those people get the tip.
and then one more thing, Paul, and we can keep moving through the producer's podcast. Do you ever grease the palms of the maitre d'?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You got to, right?
The guy that I go to, his hand is permanently stuck like this.
Oh, he's got the backhand. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's just right there. So
Mr.
he can't
Joseph,
even turn it around.
Right this way. And it is amazing.
Mr. Joseph, everything is good. Yes, we just, but a funny story I'll tell you. I was at a restaurant down here on the coast, and it was Mother's Day, and it was packed, and the servers are on edge. And, it's the busiest day of the year for restaurants. Yeah. So I hear this about 5 tables away from us. I see this confrontation going on between this very old lady.
Yeah.
And then she's got her family that's taken, grandma out for dinner. And so I see the manager come, then I see him leave. Then I see another order come and I see it leave. She keeps sending it back.
Yeah. Oh,
my hand to God. I hear and I turn around, and the server took the dish and on top of the old lady's head like that, and just pulled the dish off. And these noodles were stringing down, kind of stringing like this to the side, almost like some bad hair. And it was so funny at the time, but it was also sad. But
well, that's
the police came.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's illegal.
That's an assault.
Yeah, right.
And so there were matters there to deal with. I saw them take the waitress off. She was, I'm sure fired instantly.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be a tough job. I'm proud to say that I never had to be a server, a waiter, or a waitress in my career, in my life. But I don't know how they do it, because for every nice person like Paul Joseph, there's the one who keeps sending it back, or it's got to be a pain in the butt to be a server.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tipping is good. And then we did have a friend of ours who loved to throw out the $100 bills.
Yes, we did.
And when
still does, by the way.
Still does.
Yes. Yeah.
And when you tip $100 on anything, it really goes a long way. So, I guess the takeaway, Paul, is tip your waiters and waitresses when you can.
Whatever level you're at, give them. Our friend with the $100 bills, he called that the silver bullet. He'd give them the silver bullet. But, if you're a different economic level, if it's a $5 bill, that's your silver bullet. You give it to them, whatever it is. Actually,
we'll end with this, because that at the Italian restaurant we go to on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I always tip the waiter $20.
Right.
And now we're into the guy who brings the bread, the extra bread to go home. He gets a $5.
He gets a $5 for the bread.
He gets an Abraham Lincoln. I'm not shy to throw those babies out.
No.
And then the bartender, who's just making the drinks to be brought to the table, we throw him an Abraham Lincoln on the way out as well.
Well, you have to, because he's doubling up on the olives, hopefully. I mean, without asking, right?
You'd be surprised. Yeah. Then you get a little stiffer drink. You get a little sidecar sometimes with your martini.
Oh, yeah.
Tip your waiters and waitresses, my friend.
Yeah. No, it'll come back to serve you well.
Thank you. All right. So I was watching something on TV the other day, Paul, one of these stand-up comedy specials on Netflix. And I didn't know if you know this guy. This guy right here, Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yes.
You know him?
Yes. World's hardest last name to pronounce.
Very difficult, but very, very funny. And while I was watching it, I was thinking, this guy is funny. Why? Mm-hmm. Funny jokes, funny situations, a lot of visual effects. He works the stage very well.
Yeah.
And he was really funny. And I was thinking, do they make them the way they used to? In other words, stand-up comedy, when we were younger, there was one group of comedians. Now, in this day and age, there's a new group, although I don't think I've seen any really hot new ones recently.
No.
Right. No. So what I did was, as a producer, because again, to the less learned, this is the Producer's Podcast. So if you're going to do something about stand-up comedians, you want to do some research.
Right.
So I looked up the top 50 and we're not,
Please.
which is another rule. You can look up the top 50, but you only do about 5 of them.
That's it.
FYI.
Top 5.
So I looked up the top comedians of all time.
Okay.
And I thought I'd share some of them with you. And
I love that.
Get your opinion. So we'll start at the top.
Okay.
Both IMDb and Rolling Stone said Richard Pryor was the #1 stand-up comedian of all time.
Well, I think the thing about Richard Pryor was he not only was funny, but he inspired so many other comedians. He was just like the icon of it. And so, he really did inspire a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so. I've seen him on some, obviously if you YouTube it, he had some amazing material.
Oh yeah.
And dirty and funny, all in the same thing, and had a great, clever delivery.
Yes.
Richard Pryor was considered by everyone as the #1.
Yeah.
So then they said the #2 guy, and so IMDb and Rolling Stone differed on some of it, but this guy came up as the #2. Bad picture of what's his face? George
Terry
Carlin.
Bradshaw?
No. Yeah. Okay. Producers, take note. Get a better picture of George Carlin.
Oh yeah, please, because this looks like Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah. Okay. I apologize. All right, well, let's get rid of him. But anyway, now, didn't you used to love George Carlin, Paul?
Oh yeah, he's a funny guy. He used to, when I was a kid, I worked at Gelson's Market, and he would ride by on his bicycle and just stop and talk to us for a minute. He rode a bicycle. He was wacky. The guy was really
wacky.
And he would do those types of things, but he didn't look anything like that picture.
Well, I know. By the way, that must have been from a movie he was in. But what was so great about George Carlin, and what I think is so great about some of the best comedians there are, they're wordsmiths.
Yes.
They can focus on certain words and certain phrases, and you're always going, damn, I thought of that one time, but I'm not a comedian. So all of his word stuff was very impressive with George Carlin.
Yeah, very.
All right, so let's keep going. Now this was very highly rated, but it's definitely before our time.
Yeah.
This Lenny Bruce. Now, did you ever hear of Lenny Bruce? Did you know about him?
No.
Yeah.
He was a comedian?
Lenny Bruce was a satirist in the 50s or something.
Yeah.
He was like the beginning of kind of the edgy precursor to like a Howard Stern, say, or
Lenny Bruce.
I don't know. He paved the way for a lot of comedians. Even I think Joan Rivers followed some of his act, because it was very racy for the time. But again, it's before our time, and again, that's Rolling Stone magazine too. Those guys.
Yeah, they're before our time.
Couldn't I find a magazine that's a little more relevant than freaking? All right.
Do you have a look anywhere in there we could see?
All right. Then now this one I think we all can agree with. A top 5 comedian is Chris Rock.
Oh, love him.
Love him. And he's a little more current. He's still working.
Yes.
And if you've seen Chris Rock out in the real world or on Netflix or any of them, funny as all get out.
Funny, fresh.
Right.
I love his delivery.
Great takes.
I love his voice. I mean, he's just like the perfect, if you had to put a comedian together with everything, it would look like
Chris Rock. Yeah, I think so too. And I agree with that. All right. There's a couple more that, that when you go down the list, there were a few, and I have an observation to make, but if you keep going, actually, here's an interesting one that made the top 10.
Really?
Bill Cosby. Now, they had Bill Cosby, in the top 10 on both lists. And the question I have for you, Paul, is it okay to still like Bill Cosby's humor after?
I guess you can. Look, if you can separate things, there are people that still like O.J. Simpson and say, but he was the juice on the field, and he did but as long as you can separate it, you know what these individuals have done, and if you're okay with separating it, why not?
Okay, well, I don't remember. I remember him more on a TV show as Cliff Huxtable on the Cosby Show.
Yeah, that's how we all.
His actual stand-up was also a little, before our time, but it was funny, but it was always kind of goofy, and you did the weird voices, the Fat Albert voice, and I
don't know if he honestly, with or without the conviction and jail term and all that. Yeah, I never thought of him as being that funny.
No, I've heard of that a lot on people talking on radio and TV. Yeah, not as funny as they thought. Right. Just a couple more, and I'll get you out of here. I think as far as stand-up is concerned, this guy, Rodney
Oh,
Dangerfield,
Rodney.
right?
Now, this is my other, it'd be, for me, honestly, it'd be like Chris Rock and Rodney Dangerfield,
Yeah.
because these two guys and his movies, I know his stand-up was great, but his movies, I just loved him because he was just, it was him. He was
Yeah.
nervous. He couldn't stand still. And
Yeah.
he just did him all the time.
Right.
You know?
And, you know, he didn't start till later in life. He was like maybe in his late 40s when he started doing
Yeah.
stand-up routine.
Yeah.
And if you ever watch any of the old YouTube things where he appears on the Johnny Carson show or any show,
Yeah.
it's Paul, it's the rule of comedy. Tell jokes.
Tell jokes.
One after another, you're just dying laughing. So big fan of that. Let's say I might have one or two more and then we'll be on our merry way. This guy made the top 15.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And
Great.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yep.
I've seen some of the stand-up specials on HBO and Netflix. And you know, the thing about Jerry Seinfeld, Paul, that I think we both like, he doesn't rely on the F-bombs and the S-bombs
At all.
at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
But quite arguably one of the best observational humorists. You know, he'll, you know, what is the deal with, and then fill in the blank.
No, he's one of my favorites too.
All
I
right, good.
love
And I'll give you one more, and then I have a question for you.
Okay.
You know, people forget how talented Robin Williams was as a stand-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
He was
had him in the
amazing.
top 20.
Yeah. That actually makes me sad to see.
Oh,
To know he's gone, and to know, I know that he struggled so much with depression
yeah.
that it actually forced him into killing himself. You know, it's just, and there are millions of people like that. It's so
Oh, it's
sad. And
very sad.
You hope they find another resolution than that, because it's so permanent.
Yeah.
You don't want to go down that road, you know, but
Yeah.
he was a great comedian. Just
Well,
great.
you know, I started with that Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah.
And really some of the ones that they did have on the list, the current ones, for example, they talked about Amy Schumer,
Mhm.
Sarah Silverman,
Right.
Margaret Cho,
Right.
Lewis Black,
Mhm.
Patton Oswalt, like that. And so I just, when I stumbled on the Sebastian Maniscalco deal, and I was laughing really hard, I thought,
Yeah.
this is funny. It's recent, it's current,
Yeah. Current.
and we need more of that kind of thing, because if your whole life is Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Lenny Bruce, you know,
Yeah.
you know, Joan Rivers,
Right.
I mean,
They're
it
all
has to be-
gone.
they're all gone.
Yeah.
All right. So that's stand-up comedy. I just, you know, I stumbled on it. I thought, you know, let's talk about it, because I know you like funny things.
I love it. I love humor. I love jokes.
Yeah.
You know, way to end the bit, Jack, on an up comedy note.
Did I do it? No, I think you're being sarcastic. What did I say? All right, all right, big boy. And the only other thing I was going to ask you about is,
Yes.
speaking of downers.
Yes. Yes. Debbie Downer.
Okay. You know how there's discrimination all over the place? You know,
Yeah.
discrimination against this person, this race, that culture, that
A
style
lot of that.
of dress, this, that, the other. Tall Paul, what about elder discrimination?
How?
How? I was watching a couple TV shows, and they always portray the older people in the show as buffoons. Have you ever
Oh.
noticed that? And the question I have for you is, in real life, is there value in the expertise and wisdom of the elderly, or do we just are they all a bunch of buffoons that we should just laugh at and go?
No, I mean, I think there are certain cultures that do a really good job of not doing that. You know, like
Right.
the Asian culture, they put their elderly on a pedestal,
They respect
And-
their elders,
and they glean all their information
right?
and years of knowledge, whereas our culture, not so much. You know, we kind of do what you said. You know, we treat them like they can't hear, they can't see well, you know, this and that, and
Right. They can't
know,
drive a car. They
can't drive a car. You don't have time to sit down and really talk to them and ask them about the things that they know, and they know a lot. They're living capsules of another decade, several decades away. You
Well,
know?
that's part of what I'm thinking is, you know, like, you know, you should be able to tap into the expertise of, you know, for example, Warren Buffett. He's
Yeah.
the multi-billionaire investor. And there's some of these up and coming, you know, Robin Hood type investors who like,
Yeah.
that guy's old. He doesn't know crap.
Yeah.
You know, he's only worth, you know, $80 billion. You know, no, why wouldn't you take advantage of the years of experience of a guy like that before you start listening to a variety of people who are just, just getting started? And I hate that. And so whether it's not taking advantage of the expertise or making them look like bumbling, stumbling fools on TV. And look, everybody doesn't have to be Red Fox on Sanford and Son.
Although we wish they could, but they don't.
Well, he was funny at least, but
he's very funny.
Made fun of him because they thought he was an old crazy guy.
Yeah, he played an old crazy guy. I don't think he was as old, maybe he was, as he played, but he was really funny. Right.
But you see some of these shows where everybody is portrayed in that way. Now, there's a couple of shows that don't do that. One thing called the Kaminsky Method, which is on Netflix, which has Michael Douglas in it and Kathleen Turner. And another one is that Grace and Frankie with Jane Fondle.
Yes.
And
and you can if you're alone, I believe. Is the way that finishes.
And the other woman,
yes,
Lily Tomlin.
Oh yeah.
But they get a little bumbly and stumbly in there too. But at least the conversations are not so stereotypical. So I guess the public service announcement on behalf of our new sponsor, Tarzana Cleaners.
Yes.
on Reseda and Ventura Boulevard is be nice to old people. Find something that you can glean off of them. Yeah. And if you're writing a comedy script, not everybody has to be a bumbling old fool.
No.
Kind of like
give them better lines. Better lines.
Write some better scripts.
Yeah. Right.
All right, big boy. Well, I know that we're on a time crunch today, and the audience.
Look at that time. Look at that time.
Between tipping, stand-up comedy, and elder discrimination.
Yeah.
I think we've covered it all, Paul.
I don't know where we go from here.
Well, here's where we go.
Maybe we all go over to Tarzana Cleaners. We
go there and we drop off our cleaning and
they better pay us for this. I'm telling you right now, Jack, if I come back and you look all pressed and foofed out every week, I'm going to know that you're getting the money on that. Because look at me. I'm in a black old t-shirt.
Right. No. I wish I could say I'm actually getting something because I don't go to the cleaners much. I pretty much wash my own clothes. But if I ever tap into an actual sponsor and we actually get cash and or trade out, because as you know, all roads lead to Trade Out City.
Absolutely.
I will be the first to share with you a portion of the ill-gotten gains. And on that,
I would do the same.
I'm
working on some big sponsors for us.
Well, we're working on it. And if anybody, look, we've got a very large audience, very large.
Yeah. Why's your hand curving in? When you say
and if you want to touch this prime demographic,
yes,
don't hesitate to call.
Do.
Tall Paul Joseph, Jack Silver, the Producer Podcast. Aloha.